You know what drives me absolutely insane? When people think they understand a case because they watched a 2-minute TikTok about it. And this case is one of those where everyone thinks they know what happened. But I promise you, the actual details are so much darker and stranger than anything you've been told. June 4th, 2008. Mesa, Arizona. A man is killed in his own home in a way that's so brutal, so excessive, that when the detective first walked into that bathroom, he actually had to step back out. We're talking about someone who was stabbed 27 times, had his throat slashed from ear to ear so deeply it nearly decapitated him, and then shot in the head. But here's what nobody tells you in those quick crime recaps. The person who did this? They stuck around afterward. They took photos. They cleaned up. Kind of. And then they just left. Went about their life like nothing happened. I'm not going to tell you who did it yet, because the way this unfolded is genuinely one of the most bizarre investigations I've ever looked into. And if you stick with me, you're going to see why this case became an absolute media sensation that had millions of people glued to their screens for months. So let's start with Travis. Travis Alexander was 30 years old, motivational speaker, deeply involved in his Mormon faith. By all accounts, charismatic, successful, the kind of guy who could sell you anything because he genuinely believed in what he was selling. He worked for a company called Prepaid Legal Services, and he was good at it. Really good at it. Making 6 figures, living in a nice house in Mesa, surrounded by friends from his church. And look, I need to be upfront with you about something. Travis wasn't perfect. Nobody is. As this story unfolds, you're going to hear things about his personal life that complicate the picture. But on June 4th, 2008, someone didn't just kill him. They obliterated him. And that's what we need to understand. So Travis lives alone in this house in Mesa. June 4th is a Wednesday. His friends are expecting him on a work trip. He doesn't show up. They can't reach him. Day goes by, then another. By June 9th, his friends are worried enough that they go to his house. They knock, no answer. They can smell something. Not good. They call the police, and when officers finally get inside, they find him in his shower. He'd been dead for 5 days in the Arizona heat. Now, the scene itself. I'm not going to get graphic for the sake of it. No, but you need to understand the violence here. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This wasn't some quick act of panic. Whoever did this was in a rage. The medical examiner would later say the attack showed overkill, which is a technical term that means exactly what it sounds like. More violence than necessary to kill someone. Way more. And here's where it gets weird right off the bat. In the washing machine, police find bedding, soaked and washed. In that same washing machine, they find a camera, a digital camera, and this camera is absolutely soaked, been through a wash cycle, but the memory card? Still intact. The photos on this camera are about to crack this case wide open, but in the most disturbing way possible. There are photos from June 4th, photos of Travis alive, in his bed, looking at the camera. Intimate photos. Then there are photos of him in the shower, just normal shower photos, him posing. Timestamps on these are around 5:30 p.m., and then there are photos that are clearly accidental. Blurry, ceiling shots, floor shots, and one photo that shows Travis in that shower, slumped over, bleeding. Another photo shows what appears to be someone dragging something across the floor. You can see a pant leg, a foot. The time stamps on these? Minutes after the shower photos. So whoever killed Travis was taking photos with him hours before, was intimate with him, And then the camera captured the aftermath, probably dropped during the attack. Police start looking at Travis's life. Who was he involved with? Who would have access to his house? And one name keeps coming up over and over and over. Jodi. Jodi Arias. 28 years old at the time. And when I tell you this woman's story is complicated, I mean every single piece of information you learn just raises more questions. Travis and Jodi met in September 2006 at a prepaid legal convention in Las Vegas. She was living in California, working as a photographer. He was this rising star in the company. By all accounts, there was immediate attraction. They start dating pretty quickly after that. But here's the thing, and this is important. Travis was a devout Mormon. Jodi wasn't. She converts to Mormonism shortly after they start dating. Now, you can interpret that however you want, but people close to Travis said he struggled with this relationship because of the physical nature of it. In the Mormon faith, especially the practicing kind Travis was part of, you're supposed to remain celibate until marriage. They were not doing that. And this created this weird dynamic where Travis would be with Jodi privately, but publicly, he seemed to be pulling away. His friends later said he never really introduced her as his girlfriend, more like someone he was seeing. They officially broke up in June 2007, about 9 months after they started dating. But breaking up didn't mean they stopped seeing each other. Not even close. Jodi moved to Mesa in January 2008, same city as Travis, says it's for work. They continue this on-again, off-again, mostly physical relationship for months after the breakup. And from what investigators later pieced together from text messages and emails, it was toxic. Both of them said things, Travis especially, that were harsh, really harsh. By May 2008, now Travis was trying to distance himself. He's talking to friends about other women he's interested in. There's even talk of a trip to Cancun he's planning with another woman. And Jodi? She's not taking it well. So let me tell you what Jodi was doing in the days before Travis died, because this is where you start to see that something is very, very wrong. June 2nd, 2008. Jodi's living in Eureka, California at this point, with her grandparents. That night, a .25 caliber handgun was stolen from her grandparents' house. Just the gun. Jodi reports feeling like someone broke in, but it's unclear. June 3rd, Jodi rents a car. But here's the weird part. She drives to a rental place that's not even close to where she lives. Goes way out of her way. Get a car. Rents a white Ford Focus. So the rental agent later testifies that Jodi specifically didn't want a red car. Asked for anything but red. Said red stands out too much. She tells the rental company she's taking a trip to see friends in the Salt Lake City area. Totally different direction from Arizona, by the way. She rents the car with a full tank, and according to the gas receipts investigators later found, she fills up the tank and 2 gas cans before leaving California. Gas cans. Like the big 5-gallon ones. She borrows a 3rd gas can from an ex-boyfriend she visits on June 3rd. Tells him she's going to a prepaid legal event. Why would you need gas cans for a road trip where there are gas stations everywhere? Well, if you wanted to drive somewhere without stopping for gas in that area, without leaving a paper trail of where you actually were, gas cans would help with that, wouldn't they? June 4th. Cell phone records show Jodi's phone going dark. Just off. No calls, no texts, no pings off towers. From late June 3rd until the afternoon of June 5th, her phone is basically a ghost. But that camera at Travis's house, those photos of Jodi and Travis together, those are time-stamped June 4th, the photos of the attack. Also, June 4th, June 5th. Jodi's phone comes back on. She's in Utah now, suddenly. Calls and texts start up again. She even calls Travis's phone, leaves a voicemail asking why he hasn't called her back. Mind you, according to that camera, he's already been dead for over 12 hours at this point. She shows up at another prepaid legal event in Utah. Acts totally normal. Flirts with another guy there. Take photos. Laughing, smiling, the whole thing. At the rental car? She returns it on June 7th with the floor mats missing and what witnesses describe as Kool-Aid stains all over the seats. The rental company charges her a cleaning fee. The car has over 2,800 miles on it. You know what the distance is from Eureka, California, to Mesa, Arizona, and back, with a detour through Utah? Just about that. When police start looking into Travis's death and Jody's name comes up, they call her. This is mid-June now. They ask if she'd be willing to talk, and she says yes. Absolutely. Wants to help however she can. This is where it gets absolutely wild. And I need you to stay with me, because Jody gives police not one, not two, but essentially 3 different stories. And watching her in these interrogations, which are all on video, by the way, I was like watching someone try on different masks to see which one works. First story, first interview. She wasn't there. Hasn't been to Travis's house in months. Has no idea what happened. She's crying. She's upset. She loved him so much. This is terrible. Who would do this? Police aren't buying it. They have the photos. They have her in those photos from the day he died. Second interview, a few weeks later. July 15th, 2008. Okay, fine. She was there. But here's what really happened. She and Travis were together that day, June 4th. They were intimate. They took photos. Everything was fine. And then 2 people broke into the house, a man and a woman. They attacked Travis while Jody was there. She ran, hid, and was terrified. They threatened her life, told her if she told anyone they'd kill her too. That's why she lied before. She was scared. Now think about that for a second. 2 random intruders break in, brutally murder Travis in multiple ways, and they just let Jody go? Don't harm her at all? She doesn't call the police? Just leaves and goes about her life? Police aren't buying this one either. The evidence doesn't support it. There's no sign of forced entry, no sign of anyone else being there. And that camera? Those accidental photos during the attack? One of them shows a pant leg that looks an awful lot like the pants Jody was wearing in earlier photos that day. She's arrested on July 15, 2008, charged with first-degree murder. But wait, there's more. After sitting in jail for 2 years, after her defense team has done their investigation, Jody suddenly has a new story. And this is the one she's going with at trial. Self-defense. Yes, she killed Travis, but only because he attacked her first. According to this version, they had this wonderful day together on June 4th. Intimate, taking photos, everything's great. Then Travis asks her to take photos of him in the shower. She's doing that and accidentally drops the camera. He explodes in rage, grabs her, body slams her to the ground, threatens to kill her. She runs to his closet, where she knows he keeps a gun. Grab it. He's coming at her like a linebacker, she says. She shoots. The gun goes off. But he doesn't stop. He's still coming. She doesn't remember much after that, but she must have grabbed a knife. It's all a blur. Fog. She's in survival mode. Next thing she knows, he's dead. And then she panicked. I tried to clean up, put the camera in the washing machine, left. The problem with this story, and there are many problems, but the big one is the medical evidence. The autopsy shows that the gunshot wound to Travis's head would have incapacitated him. But he was also stabbed 27 times and had defensive wounds on his hands, meaning he was conscious and fighting for his life during at least part of the attack. The medical examiner can't say definitively which came first, the gunshot or the stab wounds, but the idea that someone could be shot in the head and then continue to attack someone while being stabbed 27 times? Experts disagree on whether that's even possible. Also, Travis didn't own a gun. His roommates, his family, nobody can confirm he ever had a gun in that house. But Jody's grandparents had a .25 caliber gun stolen from their house 2 days before. The gun used on Travis? .25 caliber. The bullet was never found, too damaged, but the caliber matches. January 2013. The trial starts, and this thing becomes an absolute media circus. Court TV is broadcasting it live. Millions of people are watching every single day. Jody takes the stand in her own defense. She's on the stand for 18 days. 18. And watching her testimony is this bizarre experience because she's calm, detailed, remembers specific conversations from years ago, describes intimate details of her relationship with Travis. But then, when it comes to the actual killing, fog. Can't remember. It's all a blur. The prosecution, led by Juan Martinez, who's this bulldog of a prosecutor, absolutely goes after her. Brings up every lie she told. Points out how convenient her memory is. Shows the jury those photos from the camera. Walks them through the timeline minute by minute. The defense tries to paint Travis as abusive, as someone with a dark side. Brings up his sexual relationship with Jody while he was Mormon. Suggests he was leading a double life. And look, some of what comes out about Travis isn't great. There were text messages where he called her horrible names, said really cruel things. But the prosecution argues that doesn't justify what happened in that bathroom. Here's what really gets people, though. Jody does interviews from jail, multiple interviews, goes on TV news shows, and in these interviews, she's almost performative? She talks about wishing she could trade places with Travis, says she'd rather get the death penalty than life in prison because death would be sweet. She donates her hair to charity for kids with cancer while in jail. And makes sure the media knows about it. Sells her artwork online. It's like she can't help herself. She needs the attention. Needs to control the narrative. The trial lasts 4 months. The jury deliberates for 15 hours over several days. May 8th, 2013. Guilty. First-degree murder. Premeditated. The jury didn't buy the self-defense story. Didn't buy any of it. The evidence was too strong. The lies were too many. Then comes the penalty phase. Will she get death or life in prison? And this is where it gets even more surreal, because Jody gives an interview right after the guilty verdict saying she wants death. I believe death is the ultimate freedom, she says. But then her defense team fights for her life. Brings in family, tries to show mitigating circumstances. The jury can't reach a unanimous decision on death. They deadlock. A second penalty phase jury was seated in 2014. They also deadlock, can't agree. So in April 2015, a judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She's currently serving that sentence in Arizona. Here's what keeps me up about this case. The premeditation is so clear, right? The gun was stolen days before, the rental car, the gas cans to avoid being tracked, the phone turned off. All of it points to planning. But then the actual murder is so chaotic, so excessive, so personal. 27 stab wounds, throat slashed, shot in the head. That's not cold and calculated. That's rage. That's emotion. So which is it? Did she plan to kill him and then lose control when she got there? Did she plan to confront him, and it escalated? So was there some part of her that thought they'd get back together, and when that didn't happen, she snapped? We'll never really know, because Jody has never told the complete truth. Even now, from prison, she maintains she acted in self-defense. And Travis's family? They've had to live with this for over 15 years now. Had to sit through a trial where intimate details of their brother's life were broadcast to millions. I had to hear him described in ways that hurt. I had to look at photos no family should ever see. The prosecutor, Juan Martinez, later wrote a book about the case. Some of the jurors have spoken out. The detective who investigated has done interviews. Everyone has their theory about what really happened in that house, but at the end of the day, what we know for certain is this. A man was brutally killed by someone he trusted enough to let into his home, into his bedroom, into his life. And the person who did it lied about it, repeatedly, until the evidence made lying impossible. You know what bothers me most about true crime becoming entertainment? Cases like this become about the spectacle, about the lies, the drama, the televised trial. And we forget that Travis Alexander was a real person. He had a family who loved him, friends who miss him, a life that was taken in the most violent way. Jodi Arias will spend the rest of her life in prison. She'll never walk free, but she's still alive, still able to give interviews, still able to create art, still able to interact with people. Travis is in a grave. He never got to defend himself against the things said about him at trial. Never got to tell his side of what their relationship was really like. Never got to live the life he was building. And that's the real tragedy here. Not the media circus, not the lies, not even the conviction. It's that a life was taken, violently and unnecessarily, and no amount of justice can ever bring that back. This case isn't a mystery. We know who did it. We know largely how it happened. What remains mysterious is the why. What makes someone capable of that level of violence against someone they claim to love? What drives someone to plan something so carefully but execute it so brutally? Maybe there are no good answers to those questions. Maybe all we can do is remember Travis Alexander for who he was, not for how he died. And maybe that's the best way to honor his memory, to see him as a person, not just a victim in a case that captivated millions. Thanks for watching. And if you stuck with me through this whole thing, I appreciate you being here for the real story, not just the headlines.